Hi, I'm Ryan Antonivich. I'm currently a VAS student attending Vermont Technical College, and today I'll be presenting my proposal for the reintroduction of Saucony's minimalist shoe line. So in this presentation, I'm going to cover the problems with modern shoe design, both anatomically and business-wise, how these problems will influence future market trends, and the optimal strategy for Saucony to respond to these trend shifts with. So one of the main problems with modern shoe design is there's a lot of cushioning in the shoe, which is marketed as very comfortable, but ultimately will result in underdeveloped foot muscles, which can create a flat arch of the foot. This flat arch will alter the movement pattern of a person walking, and this altered pattern will increase the load on the knees and the shins, which can result in knee pain, cartilage damage of the knees, and shin splints. Uh, One of the other problems is significant heel elevation of the shoe. This heel elevation was created to encourage a heel striking style of running, where the heel hits the ground first and rolls to the ball of the foot. Though this hasn't been disproven as less efficient than, say, forefoot striking, um, the main problem with this heel elevation is it puts the foot into what's called ankle equinus, where the Achilles tendon is constantly contracted, as we can see in this x-ray on the right here. And this constant contraction will result in Achilles tendonitis. The foot position can create flat feet, which we've already discussed the problems with that, arthritis, and plantar fasciitis. Another problem that we're seeing with modern shoe design is the designs reaching this extreme. We're seeing now companies like Hoka One One and Nike releasing shoes like the 10.9 here on the left and the Zoom X Vaporfly Next Percent here on the right, with very exaggerated features like this extended heel padding and lots of cushioning in the outsole. Additionally, these shoes are costing, both of these shoes are $250, and we're seeing average price points get way over $150. This limits the market that these shoes appeal to, and I believe that consumer interest will decrease as prices and design styles reach this climax of extremes. So market-wise for the minimalist shoe, we've already seen a spike in popularity in minimalist shoes with the 2009 release of the book Born to Run. This book discussed a lot of the problems of minimalist shoes that I've already previously discussed, and encouraged runners to try to run closer to a barefoot style of running. So there's a large uproar of minimalist shoes. So we saw a lot, just about every popular shoe company releasing their own minimalist shoe. And this was very popular up until 2014, when a class action lawsuit was settled with Vibram, who manufactured the 5-finger minimalist shoe, which was essentially a rubber sock for your foot. And we saw a sudden drop in sales because suddenly there were a lot of injuries related to these shoes because people weren't making the transition slow enough, and so their feet were too weak to support these shoes. What I'm seeing now is, if we view minimalist shoes and maximalist shoes as two extremes on a pendulum, we're seeing now a similar effect with these very high-priced, outlandish designs. Now in 2020, with the 10.9 and the Vaporfly Next Percent, and I think we're reaching a climax on this end of on the maximal end of the pendulum, and we'll begin swinging back to the minimalist end of the pendulum as people try to find a more affordable and more reasonably looking shoe. So the solution is to try to jump onto this trend, this rising trend, before other companies get to it again. We're even beginning to see dedicated minimalist shoe companies like Zero and Barefoot release entirely minimalist shoe lines, and they're seeing a lot of success in recent times. But this transition should be easy for Saucony because they already have the infrastructure for minimalist shoes previously built up in this mid 2000s or late 2000s craze of it. So this is a pretty low risk project as a result. So what we're seeing now is these shoes here on the left, this the top one being the Saucony Hattori and the bottom being the Virata 2. These are good functionally, but the problem is design wise, they're not very appealing to a large consumer base. And on the right here, we have the Bullet and the Endorphin Racer 2, which are aesthetically much better looking minimalist shoes, but fall short because they aren't flexible enough and their toe boxes were too narrow. So what I'm proposing is we build on these designs that we already have. We improve the downsides and we invest a lot into improving the material quality, because being that the shoe is very minimalist, we can spend more money on better quality materials of the shoe, while still not overspending and not getting anywhere close to the $250 mark that we're seeing very common in today's shoe market. So budget wise, we're looking at a little over $12.5 million total. The big costs here right now in strictly materials are getting the Vibram light-based rubber, which is going to be used for the midsole. This is a very light material, but can absorb a lot of shock. And then the carbon fiber, which will be used for a plate within the shoe, is also very expensive, but it's the lightest shoe material on the market for this purpose and is extremely flexible, but very durable. And so what's important to take into consideration here is that my numbers were not generated off of wholesale numbers. So we could see a drop of maybe even $500,000 if we were to check these prices with the actual retailers, but unfortunately I don't have the resources to do that right now. So that would have to be done after this project has been approved. So the benefits of this project we're seeing here are it's relatively low risk because Saucony already has a few somewhat minimalist shoes that they're releasing, and they've been selling units for years. And we can see a lot of short-term, very high profit margins if we're selling the shoe from between $135 to $150 for 100,000 units. I would recommend either $135 for a lower risk, lower reward profit margin of 6.5%, or a high risk, high reward profit margin with selling the shoe at $150 for an 18.5% profit margin. And if we jump onto this trend now and we begin the design and manufacturing process of these shoes, we'll be able to have a patented design and have the shoe ready for release by the time the pendulum of the market returns to minimalist shoes, and will therefore be competing with already established dedicated companies like Zero, like Barefoot, as opposed to chasing the trend with all the other companies that will be more reactive to this rather than proactive. Thank you for considering my proposal, and I hope for a response.